So Marvel's Bloodhunt is finally back, and in this issue we see some crazy reveals, including Blade and his entire motivation for attacking the whole Earth, with even some revivals of some previously dead characters. Now my name is AJ, and this is the Hero Informer, and let's get into it. So moving back over, we pick up where we left off in New York City, where we see a giant structure called the First Blasphemy, which is some kind of temple that Blade and his associates, meaning Black Panther and his little team of super vampires called the Blood Coven, transported to New York. And while this is happening, we see a narrator speak and go over the affairs of current Earth, saying it would appear that things are going very badly. The Avengers broken, the Sorcerer Supreme an apparition, and New York City with an ancient Atlantean temple as a part of its skyline. But I suppose things must really be going badly if you have come to me for help. Well, it is none other than Dr. Doom himself. As you see, the Avengers and other heroes came to Dr. Doom for help, which is crazy enough as it is, as Doom will be the last person you will want help from, because any help you do get from him is always a two-sided coin. Yeah, you may receive help and get whatever you need to be done, but Doom first and foremost always has his own goals and plans in mind. Moving over though, we actually pick up inside of the First Blasphemy, which is, as I said before, a giant temple of Atlantean origin, and inside we see Blade and his entire vampire team, including the now turned vampire Black Panther, with Blade, or this person who seems like Blade, going on to say, "Do you know how long it's been since I walked these stones? When we first built it, you should have seen it." But Black Panther himself finally starts to realize something isn't as it seems, with him going on to ask him, "You're not really Blade, are you?" And Blade, I say in quotations, goes on to say, "No, I am something much greater, and I will become something greater still." This has always been the plan, you see. Thousands of years ago, what began as a crime against the universe will now see completion. And with Black Panther being fed up with not the full story or truth, he then yells out, "What are you?" And here's where everything becomes clear and a realization happens. As you see, this isn't Blade, no, this is Verne, the first ever vampire in Marvel history, dating thousands of years back before the age of humans that we have now even begun. With this now Blade imposter going on to further say and explain, he is the first vampire, but his nomad spirit is clothed inside of the fated vessel, or Blade's body. But of course now we move back over to Latveria, where we see Dr. Doom come to the same conclusion, that no, it is not Blade who is leading this vampire invasion and battle, but it is Verne, the first and ancient powerful vampire just inhabiting his body. But Doctor Strange, who was there with his wife meeting with Dr. Doom, Strange goes on to say, "And yet your borders are free of vampires." Because of course, Dr. Doom has taken precautions to not only protect his land, but his people. And as we will find out, Doom is anything but unprepared. As you see, Doom is really what a lot of people think Batman is. Or I should say it as this: Doom takes Batman's notion of prep time and turns it up to dial 11. As you see, not only is he a master of technology and science, but also magic, something that Batman doesn't really dabble into, and even without the constraints of being a hero or having some kind of moral dilemma. As you see, Dr. Doom is willing to make those hard decisions and choices if it means securing his goals. But continuing on, Dr. Strange goes on to say, "The skies, Victor. We must have the sun again if we have any hope for victory. I am asking for your help with the Dark Force, which is currently coating the entire Earth, blocking any sunlight from getting in and halting the vampire invasion." But of course, as I said before, Doom is prepared, as he goes on to let Dr. Strange know, "I have precautions for that as well." Of course, it was only a matter of time after all. But then they start to get into the specifics about what they need magic-wise to revert this kind of event, as Dr. Doom then goes on to explain, a great assemblage of mages to begin with. A grand array of magical creatures brought together as one is what is required. And as Dr. Strange goes, "Okay, that's pretty easy. I am quite acquainted with many great magicians." But as you see, Dr. Doom is prepared for this too, as he already took the liberty of preparing his own team. A team that Dr. Strange himself knows all too well, as it is a team of magical beings from Dr. Strange's own magic school, the Strange Academy. And as it seems, Dr. Doom has it all figured out. But there's one thing he doesn't have yet that Dr. Strange has a pivotal role in producing. As you see, Dr. Doom then goes on to say, "Now Stephen, give it to me and let us begin." But of course, Dr. Strange is unclear and doesn't follow, as Victor Von Doom goes to clarify, saying, "I should think you would understand. This is an extraordinary work of magic, and to enact it, I must become the Sorcerer Supreme." Meaning if Doctor Strange and the other heroes want Doom's help in helping repel this invasion, Doctor Strange himself must relinquish the title of Sorcerer Supreme and any power and magic that comes with it to none other than Doctor Doom, which would elevate Doom to a higher status than he already is. But if you remember from the last issue, as Doctor Strange and his wife went to Latveria, Tigra and Hunter's Moon went to Asgard, as they themselves are seeking out an army to help repel against the vampires. And as it would seem, this is a smash and grab type of mission. mission or a prison break, as they are sneaking into the Asgardian dungeons to break someone free, and they even brought along a third person, and it is none other than the Wrecker. And who he is really isn't important, as he is really a C-lister or even D-list villain, but all you need to know about him is he is somewhat strong and likes wrecking and breaking things open. But as you see the trio walk up to the giant chamber holding this mysterious and powerful person, we see Hunter's Moon refer to this person as father, and who even this might be a little bit of a surprise. But for now though, we move back over to the temple where Blade and his vampire team are currently stationed at, where we still see two of the Avengers who were defeated and imprisoned, Scarlet Witch and Thor, as we find out a little more information as his now imposter Blade goes on to further say, "I was there in Old Atlantis. I was there transcribing the Darkhold and putting its bleak words onto paper. And now with the living Darkhold, or Scarlet Witch, and the blood of a god, or Thor, in my place of power, I can finally complete the ritual and become what I always wanted to be." As you see, him becoming a vampire was only the first step. It was only his pupil form. No, he was destined for something more, as you see him take a sip of some of Thor's blood, and because this is the blood of a thunder god, it powers him up even more. As you see, he was destined to be the end of all things, as he finally starts and tries to complete this ritual, drawing in the dark force itself. He is becoming one with the darkness, an entire dimension. He is going to become the darkness that consumes the light, the cold that consumes warmth. Yes, he is going to become a vampire, but one that instead of consuming normal people, objects, and animals for blood, he will consume entire planets, entire stars. He will become the unliving dark force, aka imagine Galactus, but instead if he was a giant vampire seeking to consume all life and light in the universe. But as his now imposter Blade is powering up, we then see something interrupt his now ritual, as he calls it, and it is none other than the giant moon, closer and bigger than it would seem normally, which shouldn't even be possible as a thick dark force fog is covering the earth, with even Blade going on to say it can't be. And what is this and what does this mean? Well, it has a connection to what the trio was doing in Asgard, as we move over and pick up in the streets of New York and across the entire world, as you see a bunch of different white portals open up, and a voice goes on a monologue saying, "In the darkness, light. That is what I am, and that is what I have always been. They know they are not alone, and my warriors are here with no fear, no blood, no mercy, and led by my resurrected son, my Moon Knight." As we see Mark Spector, the original Moon Knight, finally resurrected and back in action. As you might have been wondering, who was the trio trying to break out of that Asgardian prison? Well, it was none other than Khonshu, the moon deity that powers Moon Knight. And with him now free, Moon Knight and now this moon army are here to tip the sides in favor of the heroes. And with Blade distracted by the arrival of Moon Knight and his now moon army, T'Challa, the Black Panther, then decides this is his time to strike, as he takes out a spike from something and charges Blade with it. But of course his attempt is stopped relatively easily, with Blade basically going on to say, "Too little too late. Did you really think you can kill me with that little blade?" But as it turns out, that wasn't Black Panther's attention at all. No, his attack was merely a distraction from the real threat just behind him. As you see Black Panther going on to say, "No, not really, I was just removing it." As you see lightning crackle in the background, and Thor, the god of thunder, is finally up and ready for battle once more, with him going on to say, "Insult and injury I have suffered, and Thor will have his recompense." And just as Thor finished talking, we see another voice just arrive saying, "Which is just fancy talk for avenging," as we see the rest of the mighty Avengers arrive just in time to help Thor and put the beat on his now imposter Blade. But of course, Blade is not backing down, as he is now empowered even further with his vampire team behind him, going on to say, "Come then. Come and face the unliving Dark Force," as this is gearing up to be one mighty battle, with the forces of the Avengers and Moon Knight and his now Moon Army fighting against his now unliving Dark Force Blade and his vampire army, while Doctor Doom in the back might become Sorcerer Supreme and any problems that may come with that. But for now, that is the end of this issue and the end of this video. As always, if you enjoyed, leave a like, or subscribe if you're new and like to see more of this type of content. As always, this is the Hero Informer, and thank you for watching.